and we are here today to jog. What's that? Well, jogging started in New Zealand as a safe, enjoyable workout for all age groups. Then President Kennedy urged Americans to take it up. The Scandinavians and Germans rate it as important as eating or sleeping. But here in Britain, it's just starting, as Malcolm is today.
That looks just like running to me, Frank.
Well, that's exactly what it is, Malcolm. But it's not the hard sort of stuff you'd expect from an Olympic athlete. It's very, very gentle.
They seem to be going quite quickly, though, also.
Yeah, probably quite quickly for you starting, but you are just starting, remember, and the essence of our whole programme is that the pace is your pace, nobody else's, just yours.
What would that pace be initially? How far or fast would I have to run?
Well, I wouldn't even begin to tell you how fast to run. I would only tell you just how long to run, and of course that's all set out in the programme booklet that we've prepared for you.
I see. And what kind of equipment's involved? I mean, do I need to be kitted out properly?
Well, you've turned up in a very smart outfit today, but you don't really need a kit like this. You do require perhaps a pair of gym shoes or training shoes, a pair of old jeans and a sweater, and that's it.
So no special facilities at all, really?
Neither equipment nor facilities. You're here in a very pleasant park. You could just open the door, go outside into the road and jog around the block a few times. You can jog in the public parks, you can jog at the beach, you can take a drive out into the country and jog through the woods.
So I could out at lunch from the office and jog then?
Yeah, as a man who obviously has got time at a premium, you'll want to sort of squeeze a session in here and there. You can, in fact, go out and jog at lunchtime or when you get home in the evenings.
See, well, I study in the evenings and I'm working pretty hard during the day. How long is involved in all?
Well,
hours or minutes?
Well, I'll tell you what, it is in fact minutes, and the best way to get you in the groove is to take you out now and give you your week 1 programme, which will be 12 minutes.
I'm Dennis Candy, and I work on creative regeneration. I'm based in Pittsburgh in the USA, a former industrial town. And what we're doing there is trying to remake the city in a way that allows us to look at our future, to create an environment for investment and development that's actually ecologically sound. So we're looking to have regeneration happen in concert with the land and the landscape that we occupy, rather than just plonking buildings and projects on top of the landscape and altering parts of the cityscape in ways that won't make sense to future generations. Here in Falkirk, I'm working on the Helix project, which is, to me, a way that local people here are reimagining the future of this part of Scotland. The connections between Grangemouth and Falkirk, and this land and landscape that's in between Falkirk and Grangemouth. We're standing here in the Abbotsaw woodlands. We're right in the middle of an urban area. And yet we can hear the grass moving back and forth. One of the questions we ask when we're working on creative regeneration is, how do we retain our relationship to nature, although nature has been transformed by us over the centuries? How do we maintain this relationship, this connection to our land and landscape, so that as we're looking forward to think about how our communities are going to create jobs for our people, how our communities are going to bind together in the future, that we're thinking about a future that will act in concert with the landscape, where we'll partner with the landscape. And we won't necessarily look to a big corporation or a big investor to come in and save us from the outside, but rather we'll have a vision of our own place based on our history, but also in a way not burdened by our history. A vision of a future into which we invite investment partners, so that we have a framework for investment and development which is not based solely on the property market, are not based solely on someone's idea of what development makes sense, but rather based on an idea of where we want to go in the future and how we want to organically create a sense of place and a sense of community, and how we honor the sense of place and sense of community even as we attract new kinds of investment and development. So how does creative regeneration work? Well, it works here in the Falkirk area by being grounded in the experience and the engagement of local people, in conversation with each other about where they want to take a place in the future. Here in this woodlands, the local people who live in the housing adjacent to this area are very much involved in thinking about how they want to relate to this place in the future and how they want this to be a community resource. They're using it now to play, they're using it now to walk, they're using it to jog, they're using it to walk their dogs and so on. But there are other ways that they can use it in the future, and there are ways that maybe local young people can have jobs connected to this space as well. So creative regeneration starts by being rooted in the DNA of the local community. Where do you find the DNA of the local community? You find it in the people. So the first step is in just creating a series of events and opportunities for people to get out in their own landscape. It doesn't have to be by a river, it doesn't have to be by a wetlands or grasslands. It can be anywhere in any city. It can be any part of any neighborhood. And we go out in the neighborhood and we start to look around, we listen to each other, we listen to the residents who've been there for generations, we listen to the residents who just showed up in the last few months, and we start to think about re-experiencing our familiar place in new and different ways. And that can be done through art events, it can be done just through simple walks through a community, it can be done by asking good questions. What do you feel when you walk down this street? How do you want to feel when you walk down this street? What direction do you take as you move through the community? What do you encounter on a daily basis? Do you bump into people? Do you bump into dogs? Is there a lot of traffic? And so on. So we simply go out and we re-experience the familiar place. And based on that, we have more conversations that begin to then direct us toward reimagining that place. So this is my feeling of the place as it is now. This is my sense of its history. And then this is where I think I'd like to take it in the future. This is the experience that I want to have as I walk down the street. Because community development is not housing and it's not commercial development. You can have housing and commercial development have to be a part of community development. But just a new business strip or just a new series of houses, that's not going to create a community.